Thank you, Caitlin, and what an honor it is to be here. Parvati, you are a hard act to follow, but I can only hope that I fill half of your shoes. And thank you, Caitlin, for the introduction and for sharing my screens. Let's click to the second screen, please. Well, as Caitlin said, my son Travis was just a healthy, vibrant, energetic boy. He was always happy and he drew people to him wherever he went. The first year that he had played t-ball, one of the other dads on the team came up to me at the last game and he said, you know, I just have to tell you, I have never seen Travis without his smile. If he's standing it back, he's smiling. If he's running the bases, he's smiling. If he is out in the field, he's smiling. This was a kid who had a huge collection of friends and just went through life, loving life, and just happy to be alive. Next slide, please. As you can see there, we had 45 friends celebrating his 4th birthday. This kid was loved, and he was loved. So you can imagine my surprise. Next slide, please. When just 6 days after that birthday party, and we were still actually kind of reeling, just kind of getting our feet back on the ground because 5 months earlier, my husband had died of colorectal cancer. And so my world turned, and amid my grief, I knew I had to, everything to do with Travis was now on my shoulders and on the amazing group of friends that I refer to as my tribe. But so all of these people came out to his 4th birthday party and he had a blast. 6 days later, he was dead. And so my journey into rare disease advocacy is a little bit different. I didn't even have time to do any advocating for Travis while he was still alive. And that is why I'm so passionate about Team for Travis right now. It's the way that I have to continue being his mom. Next slide, please. So you might be wondering, how did we find out the diagnosis? Well, on a Friday morning, just the Friday after his birthday party, Travis was swimming and playing. He was having just a blast, his usual typical day. And that night he started saying, Mama, I'm cold. Well, we live in Arizona, and in August in Arizona, if someone says they're cold, you know that something is really wrong with them because it's hotter than the surface of the sun. And so he started vomiting, he had a high fever, and he was fine on Friday night. I checked in with a friend who is a nurse practitioner, and I checked in with his own pediatrician, and they both said, oh, it's probably just the flu. And then, next slide, please. So these were some of the common reasons that we heard for Travis's illness. It's probably just the flu. Well, you can have urgent care test him for strep throat, but I really think it's just the flu. And even his own grandparents said, kids get fevers. Ours always did. They were always fine. And unfortunately, everyone was so wrong. Next slide, please. So 3 different medical professionals saw Travis in that 20-hour period. And all they were looking for were the hoofbeats from horses. And I learned as I got involved in the rare disease community, they really should have been considering zebras because, yes, the symptoms Travis was presenting did mimic just the common flu, but no one ever considered the underlying cause for that fever, that it was sepsis brought on from a bacterial infection that Travis couldn't fight because he didn't have a spleen. So next slide, please. And he was never diagnosed as having isolated congenital asplenia. We had no clue. In fact, we always thought he was pretty healthy. And during his life, we were always so busy protecting his father's immune system as he battled colorectal cancer that I think Travis wound up being the beneficiary of that And his immune system was able to overcompensate, and he was able to fight off common colds and things like that. But then when this Haemophilus influenza type A, which is a bacterial infection, hit his bloodstream without his spleen, he was left completely powerless. Next slide, please. So I just thought I'd share with you really quickly some fast facts about asplenia. It is a genetic birth defect, so there is a genetic component to it, which is interesting because half of the children that have been studied, or half of the people who've been studied, do not express the mutation. So there's likely another mutation responsible for asplenia, and that's part of our efforts is to continue fundraising to contribute to research to discover that second mutation. Another fact about asplenia is the spleen is missing, or like in Travis's case, the medical examiner discovered he only had a small remnant of a spleen. There is another scenario in asplenia. The spleen may be present and show up on all kinds of ultrasounds, but it's non-functioning. Asplenia is also, as Caitlin mentioned, it is a primary immunodeficiency. And without the spleen, kids, everyone really, but this mostly strikes children. Children are susceptible to life-threatening sepsis, and it's currently not detected in prenatal ultrasound or newborn screening. Next slide, please. Oh my goodness, this is the wrong, hang on just a second. Let me share my screen, and if you'll stop sharing for a minute. For some reason, this is the wrong presentation, and my sincere apologies, but let me pull up and share my screen. Bear with me just one moment. This is the correct one. I'm not sure how that happened, but so we were on that slide. Can everyone see that? Okay, thank you. So what Team for Travis is doing is we are raising awareness. We've participated since February of 2019 in Rare Disease Day events and advocating to members of U.S. Congress to garner their support and build relationships so that we can draw awareness to asplenia and all rare diseases. We're also working with the EveryLife Foundation's Newborn Screening Working Group and serving on RDLA's advisory committee, just to help educate people how to be a better advocate for their loved ones with rare diseases like asplenia and trisomy 18. And we also are advocating for expanded genetic testing and newborn screening. We are growing our patient community. That's one of the biggest challenges with a rare disease, is how do you find other people who have the same disease as you or have the same disease as your child? And sometimes you strike out. Sometimes, one example where we did strike out, I found a paper published by a doctor, a pediatrician at the University of Minnesota, and he was talking about a young girl who they did diagnose her with asplenia, and she survived. And unfortunately, this child was a ward of the state of Minnesota. She was in their foster care system. So in terms of making a connection with that family, we struck out. But we have had a couple of really solid hits. I still am waiting for that Grand Slam home run, to use a baseball analogy, but we have made contact with moms of children with asplenia in Norway, Germany, here in the US, in Boston and Florida. And so we are slowly growing and finding those connections to help strengthen our patient community. And we also are fundraising to contribute to ICA research. Some of our activities, as you can see, we have held fundraisers at local restaurants. On the left there's a couple of our board members, and it was really cute. One of Travis's young friends came out with his parents to the restaurant, And he took it upon himself to make little packets of all of our materials. And he went around to diners in the restaurant and stopped at each table. And this child was 5 years old at the time, but he stopped at each table and he said, "Excuse me, I'd like you to read this about my friend Travis, who died of a rare disease." And he would give the diners our information. And so you're never too young to start on advocacy. And then we also have participated in in-person advocacy. There you can see me with a team of fellow advocates from Arizona, with our then Senator Martha McSally. We've done virtual advocacy. This was just in February at Rare Across America Week, and there's one of our other board members and me and another rare disease patient advocate speaking with a representative, Chad, from David Schweikert's office. So, and then one of the projects that is just really unique to us, one of our dear friends is a creative type. She makes her own jewelry, she sings, she teaches piano and gives music lessons to children. She came up with this idea of kindness rocks. And so we started painting these little flat landscaping rocks. They had to be orange because, of course, that was Travis's favorite color. And we've started this campaign, and these silly little rocks have gone around the world. There you can see one that a friend took on a mountain hike in Norway. We've had them in South Africa and throughout Europe, Australia, New Zealand, South Korea, the Philippines, and all 50 of the US states. So it's just been amazing to see how people have gotten involved with something that a couple of our board members thought, oh yeah, right, little kindness rocks, that's not going to go anywhere. Well, Travis made those rocks go around the world. I'm convinced of that. And so let me know if you'd like to have an opportunity to spread some Travis love too, and we'll get you a rock. But one unique story that I think is amazing, one rock was taken to a city in Denmark, and then a little boy there found it. The rock, let me back up, the rock started in Phoenix, it went to San Diego. A little boy found it in San Diego, and after hearing Travis's story, he decided he wanted the rock to go far. So he gave it to his uncle. He was going on a business trip. And I said Denmark a minute ago, but it was actually Norway. And then the rock got left in a small village in Norway, where it was found by a family from England. And their little boy took the rock home to England with them and took it all around throughout their 2-week holiday throughout Great Britain. And they took pictures of themselves with the rock in different historical sites, and then they posted about it to our Facebook page. So I invite you to check out the hashtag Spread Travis Love Facebook page, and you can see just where in the world these little kindness rocks have gone. And my big takeaway for today I'd like to leave you with is just get started. It's been said that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with just one step. And so I'd like to just encourage everyone, don't be afraid to take that first step. And, you know, I think it's very interesting. Long winding roads seem to be a common theme among the rare disease community, like with Parvati showing her idyllic beachside scene, and that's what they expected parenthood would be like. And then a rare disease hits them and makes them feel like they've just been in a 20-car pileup. And that's certainly the way I feel. And I'm not going to lie, there's ups and downs, there's twists, turns, and bumps, and some really big potholes. But you can start by doing just one small thing and making your voice heard, sharing your story. Get involved and get out there. Global Genes is a great resource for the rare disease community, the Every Life Foundation, and also NORD. And That's the National Organization for Rare Diseases. Build those relationships with the medical community. We didn't have the opportunity in Travis's case. For us, his rare disease diagnosis came too late for me to advocate on his behalf to save his life. But I do what I do to prevent other children and other families from losing their child. So, you know, Google is both a good thing and a bad thing, but if it's used correctly, you really can find a wealth of information out there. So if you're wondering if your disease has an organization already, do a Google search. And if you consider starting one, if you don't find one that exists, like I had to do with asplenia, let me know. I'd be happy to give you some pointers. And you can see those are just some of the amazing connections that I've made with people in the rare disease community. And again, like Sarita, we just clicked because we were in the same breakout room during a preparation for Rare Across America in February. And I'm so excited to share her journey with her. And I'm so honored that she invited me to be part of her journey. So. And don't forget to effectively tell your child's story or your own story. Social media can be a great way to share the story. And also, if you do have a nonprofit organization, one thing that we've done, I didn't realize this, but Canva, which is a website that allows you to do design creations of social media posts, brochures, everything. It's a fantastic site. And anyone can use it for free, but they do have an upgraded membership. You can purchase that, but if you're an existing nonprofit organization with your 501c3 status from the IRS, you can apply for and receive up to 10 Canva Pro user licenses for free. And you can find more information about this program on the Canva website, and I can drop that into the chat room too if anyone's interested. So that was one of my favorite pictures taken of Travis and me in the last weeks of his life. And again, you can see that megawatt smile, and there's my contact information as well. So thank you, Sarita, Kareem, and especially Elijah, that precious child. And I'm so thrilled to do anything I can to work to share their message at the same time I'm sharing Travis's. Thank you.